The Birdie Board Podcast is brought to you by the Birdie Board app, the easiest way to track matches, scores, and handicaps with friends. Now, here's your host, Corey, with another episode of the Birdie Board Podcast.
Welcome back to the Birdie Board Podcast. Exciting episode today. This is the second time I've interviewed someone on the podcast, but also what's exciting, and I don't know, Steve, if you knew this is actually the 10th episode of the Birdie Board Podcast. So you have quite the honor to be the 10th on the 10th episode here. So that means I do an episode a week. So what's that, like 2.5 months of this already, quarter of a year. So we're going to try the momentum, keep going, episode a week. So this one's pretty excited. So Steve is with me. He's the creator of a product called PathPal. And I reached out to him, I think a couple weeks ago, just randomly on YouTube. Well, I found his channel on YouTube, and then I was like, I want to reach out to this guy. It's pretty interesting. So I went to his website, and I went to his privacy policy on his website to figure out how I could contact him. And I reached out to him on here. He was super receptive. We hopped on a call, and he kind of explained the story. And the story to me was super interesting. So that's where I'm at today. I invited Steve on to kind of share the story of PathPal. So before we get into that, I got Steve to write me up a little bit of an intro for himself. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce him. So Steve is the founder of PathPal Golf. He brings years of strategy and consulting experience, along with time-leading AI initiatives at Koch Industries, which is pretty cool. PathPal started from his own frustration as a weekend golfer practicing on turf where most training aids simply did not work. So he built his own solutions, beginning with alignment stick holders designed for modern practice surfaces. Today, his products are used and endorsed by more than 20 Golf Digest recognized instructors. PathPal has grown into a smart, practical line of training tools built around real problems golfers face every day. All right, that's Steve. Let's start with this, Steve. Where did your idea for PathPal come from?
Certainly, Corey, and I appreciate the honor of being on the podcast here. And
yeah, number 10, big honor.
We'll see if it's worthy of number 10. If not, just delay me a week, and I can.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be 11. I'll dub over. Hey, this is a blank 11, and then go into the podcast.
Little voiceover nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
So Corey, so the whole idea came about because of a personal problem that I faced. So I have been getting lessons because, like everyone who's listening to this or who finds this, is we're trying the endless search to improve our golf game. And I have been getting lessons on and off from a top-rated instructor out of Pine Tree Country Club in Kennesaw, Georgia, by the name of Chad Phillips. And for me, my personal issue is at the top of my backswing, I end up getting steep and I swing out to in. And in an effort to try to shallow my swing out, Chad would always use alignment sticks.
Right.
And he had this contraption. It was actually made out of a stand that you would use like for a mic at like
really
band camp.
Wow.
And he had a pool noodle on it and all this sort of stuff. And that was his little alignment stick holder, right? And for me, like, okay, I bought my Home Depot alignment sticks, and when we were hitting off of grass here in Atlanta, I'd be able to put it in. And I had no idea if I was hitting the right angle that he had it in, because I couldn't remember by the time,
right, exactly.
Passed from lesson to practice. But then the big problem came about when half the year, when it's kind of a little bit colder and the grass growing season isn't there, you have to hit off of mats, right? And
right.
Surprise, surprise, the alignment stick can't jab into grass. And so I'm like, okay, got some of those buckets where you have the balls, and I can get it in there, but I can never get it at the right angle, and it's just really awkward. And so, cut to my daughter being born.
Okay.
And I had a personal goal for myself because I've always wanted to start my own business, be an entrepreneur. It's like, I'm going to dip my toes in the water.
Okay.
My company was, I was very fortunate. The company I was working for at the time had a 12-week paternity leave
nice
process. And so I was like, boom, I am going to find some sort of a product, something I can do to list on Amazon, and therefore create just some passive revenue for myself.
Hmm.
And I started thinking like, okay, what problem do I have that I could solve? Because it's gonna be easier to think of like, what do I
Right.
experience on a day-to-day basis that I can just make my life easier.
Not only that, but when you do get to marketing, you got to be passionate about it rather than just some Chinese made product that you're just trying to resell for a 3% markup.
That would be a big help.
Yeah.
I've been in consulting for 12 years and I've had to become passionate about things I don't really care about. So
Right.
I could get some passion for some things if needed, but for long-term sustainability, I completely agree with you. And I started thinking like, okay, where's that passion at? Where's the pain at? And it brought me back to
Uh,
that memory of my pain of trying to figure out how to improve my golf game and not being able to really practice half the year.
yeah.
And so that's where really the idea came from is how do I go about solving a problem that I had, which prevented me from really being able to practice year round.
Yeah. Yeah. So what were some of your like how did you approach solving the problem? So did you like start sketching it out? I know you mentioned to me like you had a 3D modeler at one point. Like how did that even like take me back to even before you started doing anything?
Certainly. So I realized, okay, this is an area that I have a pain in. And so let me see online, is there a solution to this? So I just
Hmm.
started on Amazon typing in alignment stick holder, right? I mean, pretty
Uh,
simple. And I
yeah.
looked at what was on there, and there was a handful of them, and it was pretty basic in terms of design. It was a metal sheet that had just an angle that would go up and down, and you picked an
Hmm.
angle and stuck an alignment stick in. And
Hmm.
then half of them would have like some sort of like a tube on the bottom, then you can stick an alignment stick for the alignment part on the base.
Hmm.
Well, I was reading the reviews. And I'm like, okay, well, this is one, half those tubes didn't work for a left-hander, and I'm left-handed. So I'm like, okay, it's kind of pointless for me. And then I would read the reviews, and some products were like, oh, the angles are incredibly sharp. I cut myself. Someone else was like, having to carry a wrench with me just to adjust the
Oh yeah,
angles.
that's annoying.
I've lost it already, and I had to go buy one from, Home Depot or Lowe's. I'm
Right.
like, okay. So there's a lot of pain out here. So there is something.
Hmm.
Someone has tried to solve it. They've done a pretty poor job. And so just kept doing some research like, okay, well, what are there any other things that are out there that aren't on Amazon?
Right.
And that was by basic market research, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, what else is out there? And
Yeah.
then for me, so I had this sort of philosophy. If I'm going to do this, I want to be able to do it in a way that stands out,
Hmm.
does or offers something that no one else in the market does. And so to do that, I started looking at, and I built a repository on Google Docs of every single alignment stick drill that I could find. I watched
Hmm.
countless YouTube videos, scrolled through just, I don't even know how many hundreds of TikTok and Instagram
Right.
reels and stuff. I just got lost in the sauce, right? and,
Yeah.
and have this massive list. I had photos of like, okay, here's what it looks like. I had descriptions of, okay, here's the angles. And from there, I just started to like, okay, categorize and group everything together. And I was like, okay, this is the set of drills that are used for
Uh,
alignment sticks. If I want an alignment stick holder, it needs to be able to support a golfer or an instructor to do each of these known and proven alignment sticks.
that's an awesome
Just
way
a
to go about it.
yeah, because here's the thing. I'm not a golf coach. I didn't play in
Yeah.
college. I don't have a YouTube blog channel where I'm like teaching people how to do golf or anything like that. I'm just a
Hmm.
guy who can solve a problem, like a guy
Hmm.
who wants to get better. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to look for things that are known and proven and very, very common. And how can I make it better? And that was
Right.
my approach. Like an alignment stick is every lesson I've ever done, whether it was from Chad or before,
Hmm.
somehow, some way had an alignment stick incorporated.
Yeah.
And so that was like, okay, how can I make this tool more versatile and more useful for golfers? And so that
Hmm.
was truly the start of it was collecting, this whole repository of all these different drills.
Yeah.
And then from there, I honestly started to kind of sketch out like what could it look like,
Hmm.
what might it need to have, and I
Hmm.
actually have a somewhat of an early sketch. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
you're interested in seeing, but and I also don't know how well this thing will come across. But
Yeah.
this is the original version, like one of the original versions that I had all this sketched out.
Uh,
And I mean,
so what is that? Just like a Microsoft Note or something that you just sketch
it
things
was
out?
on my iPad. I just had a pencil or a little Apple Pen or whatever,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
started drawing it out
That's
and
so
sketching
cool.
it out. It's like, okay, I want ground alignment tunnels that are
Mhm.
versatile for both sides, lefty or righty, and
Which is so
also
important. I mean, I know you lefties are the ones who are always forgotten about too.
I know. I'm so used to like any instruction video, even
Uh,
the ones on my website. Like I mentally have to turn and flip in my head when someone's like,
you'll have to, I
the
think
right
YouTube
shoulder
has
left.
like a mirror option now. You just have to watch everything mirrored.
I know. It's I really should. It should auto swap with AI. It should just say
Yeah.
right shoulder, just auto switch to left and make my life easier.
hmm
Um, and so I had the concept of the device of what I wanted based on my what I've the market research and everything. Um, then the question for me is, okay, I want to get a prototype made so I can see it, get my hands on it, and then validate it in the market.
Right.
The way I was going to go about validating was to try to take it around to a bunch of golf instructors and
hmm
like, hey, tell me what you think. So the first part of the thing was like, okay, how do I get this drawing, this concept, into a CAD design, computer aided design, because
Right.
that's what someone was going to need to build it.
And
And
I'm
I
guessing you don't have any CAD design.
surprise, surprise,
Yeah,
nothing at
right.
all. And so I'm like, okay, how do I go about doing this? And I went on a website called Upwork. And
Mhm.
Upwork is just a fantastically useful site. I've used it multiple times since, where you can find freelance people or anyone with any sort of expertise and hire them for projects.
Mhm.
And so I started looking for someone that had product design expertise
Mhm.
and could do computer aided design. And I interviewed several, found, well, this gentleman overseas, his name was Ash. And Ash and I really partnered up for several months
Mhm.
to take this design and really get it to the point where it was near market ready.
So
And
he was doing, I guess you would feed him ideas and then he would turn it into a CAD design.
that's exactly right. So I,
Yeah.
I showed him my sketches. I showed him all the
Yeah.
market research because he wanted to understand as well. Because what was special about Ash
hmm
was that he didn't just do what I said,
Yeah.
right? And that can be taken a different way, but
Yeah.
like
No, I mean,
he
sometimes you
challenged
get
me.
that with freelancers and you want someone to be collaborative with you, not just someone like, okay, I'll do what you say, give me the paycheck, never talk to me again, like
Yeah.
until you need another project.
Exactly. And that's what, honestly, that's one of the things that I appreciated when I was interviewing people is Ash kind of, he was, very respectful to the whole thing, obviously, but was really respectful of challenging me and pushing me on the design.
hmm
And I mean, his knowledge of 3D printing and CAD design and what would work or wouldn't work really, shone through on the interview. And that's why I ultimately chose him.
hmm
And that collaborative spirit carried through. So I would show him the design. We did the market research. He did his own as well, just to, I guess, make
Help
sure
with
he
it. Yeah.
understood it. And from there, he's like, got it, I understand it. He offered a couple of design tweaks from like the original, like super original sketch, and got it built out.
hmm
We had to tackle some, material decisions and some trade-offs with, how are we going to go about building it? And from there, it's like, okay, how do I get this prototype built? Because I want to get my hands on it. And so
Right.
I looked online and started to search all over the place. And ultimately, I was looking for like a little 3D, like I had thought that libraries you can do 3D printing. That's what I thought I heard around Atlanta. Some of the
Uh,
libraries had a 3D printer. And I said, I'm going to try that route. Didn't really have any luck, but that searching led me to Georgia Tech.
do they have like a maker
Obviously
space or something?
they do, and
Mm,
Georgia Tech itself is just such a
yeah, it's
well-renowned engineering school. I'm like, they're
yeah.
going to have something there, and they actually had this big like engineering group that did 3D printing
hmm
as sort of a club, and I reached out to them, and they said, well, we don't let people from the outside use our printers. They're for students
hmm
only or faculty. But we have a graduate who has a company that
Oh,
does
awesome.
3D printing,
Hmm.
and here's the contact information. And so I reached out, and turns out it's a father-son company. The
Oh,
father,
that's cool.
a former veteran, they actually have contracts with NASA, Air
Oh,
Force,
awesome.
Navy. The son actually is working for NASA doing 3D printing design and everything. I'm like,
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how lucky I could have been. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had a lot of lucky situations throughout this entrepreneurial journey, but at the same time, like this fell in my lap and
Hmm.
like, how great is this? And so I reached out and built up that relationship and they printed
That's
out
awesome.
the design.
So
And
did they just send it to you?
yeah, well,
Is like,
I met up since they're somewhat local actually.
oh
So
yeah, I
they're
guess they
just
are,
about
aren't they?
45 minutes north of where
Yeah.
I'm at, or at least the father is. And so I just met up with him and got it. I mean, this is the
Wow.
original printed version. It's you can see it's a little bulky.
It's kind of horseshoe shaped too.
It is. So
Yeah.
the original version, the original name was going to be called the Ray, because
Oh, because
it
it kind of
is
looks like a manta ray.
sort of look
Yeah.
like a ray, and especially
Without a tail.
yeah, without a tail. But when you have all the alignment sticks in, it's also like rays shooting out.
Mm,
I was like, it's kind of a cool name,
yeah. It is bulky
different.
though. You couldn't fit that in like a golf bag.
You
I
not
mean,
not I
maybe if you had a big
honestly,
golf bag.
yeah. I mean, if you had one of those like staff bags, maybe. But I mean, it's actually really light to carry and
Mm.
everything, and because of the design, it's simple, but it's
Does
not,
it,
not portable,
so
right?
that's the first one you
This
picked
was
up.
the first
So
design I
I'm
picked out.
curious. So you met this guy, you picked up the design. Was the first thing you do go to the driving range?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I would have
I,
too.
I mean, I was like a puppy with a bone for
Oh,
the
I
first
bet.
time,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it was I've here I am, and it was also kind of an emotional time, right? I mean,
Hmm.
just to be honest with you, I for the first time ever in my entire life had something that I thought of. I sketched out. I took the initiative to go find
That's
someone to help me
awesome.
build this, find a manufacturer, and get this. And this is the first physical representation of an idea
That's so
that came to
cool. You
life.
must have had so much pride in that moment.
Oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, my wife came with me because we met up with them at a Starbucks.
Aw.
We just kind of like, took the time, and she sat
Yeah.
in while I was talking. It was really a cool experience, and
Yeah.
there's been so many of those times where I've just kind of sat back and have just reflected on the journey and how far I've come. And this was one of
Right.
those, and getting it. And so I got the product in hand, went to the range. I was like, holy crap, it works.
Yeah.
It was
Did you
recreating.
find anything you didn't? Of course, you probably found things you didn't like a lot, but what was like one of the first things I assume you found something the first time you went to the range.
It was bulkier than I thought.
Yeah.
um, really that was kind of the biggest thing is the size.
Yeah.
When you see it on the screen, it doesn't seem as big.
I
And
mean, it looks like it's as big as your head,
oh
kinda.
yeah, I've got a big head too, right? I'm like that
Yeah.
XL size for
Yeah.
that's right. So
Yeah.
it was large, and that was the biggest thing that I saw on first go round.
Yeah. So let's talk. So you have the product at hand. I want to talk about that gap between getting the product in hand and getting it to production for like the next 5 minutes. Like, how did you start testing it? How did you make iterations and improve on it?
So it was important for me once I got it, I needed that real life feedback. And so
Mm,
I immediately went around and reached out to a lot of the directors of instruction in Atlanta, especially those that were rated on Golf Digest as best in state.
hmm.
And there were six top-rated instructors and one who's a real good friend of mine who's assistant coach at Morehouse College. So I reached out to Jason Kuiper at Bobby Jones, David Potts, Country Club of the South, Sean Coate
Hmm.
at Atlanta Athletic, Jacob Tilton at Ansley, Cody Carter, Druid Hills, and Chad,
A lot
obviously.
of big names.
Yeah, real big names. And I was like, I want the best of the best to look at this and give me their feedback. And they did. And I was so thankful, again, so thankful that the golfing community has been so open and helpful for me in this journey that they went through, gave me feedback and they told me some things that change and like what angles to keep or not keep or what
Hmm.
angles
That's great
super
feedback.
important. And so I took that and I went back to the drawing board and one of the things, so, as I see it, I start to really understand my philosophy, my product philosophy that I wanted to um, incorporate into the design. And it was really important for me to start to solidify this. And it's somewhat hard to do when you first have it conceptually. But then once you start to go through, you start to understand what truly matters. And for me, versatility and flexibility were really big principles that I wanted to embody in this product. And part of that came with, okay, the versatility of being able to carry it in your bag, the
Yeah.
versatility of doing as many drills as you could with it, and the angles and the flexibility of whatever the instructor or the student wants to do, you should be able to do it. And so I took that sort of philosophy that I was starting to develop and went with Ash, and we redesigned it into something that changed from array to something that looked more like an eel. I was
Yeah.
like, I joked with my wife, I was like, I think I'm gonna have to call this thing the eel now because it went from this nebulous sort of shape into like a long, more rectangle.
Uh-huh.
But the benefit of the shape was it allowed me the opportunity to split it in half.
Mm.
And when I had that sort of realization of if I can split this in half, I can now have
Uh,
it placed in two different ways because nothing in the market
mhm.
had like a two-in-one feature. Anything that comes close, and there's only like one that sort of comes close, it's really two of the same exact product. Uh,
Right.
it's just you're buying two at the price of one, or
Right.
whatever you want to think about it as. But this is the only product that is really one product that has the opportunity to split in half, and you can
Hmm.
position it two
Yeah,
ways.
the one of the things I saw on the website is how you can even use it for putting as well, which
Yeah,
I thought was really unique because a lot of people, including myself, now I haven't done it in this now that it's so cold in the PA area, but go to course, you hit the range, and what do most people do right before they leave? Hit the putting green a little bit, maybe try to get 10 minutes of putting. And it's cool that you could like take this tool and use it on both surfaces.
yeah, absolutely. So now that you mention it, so when I moved to that rectangular shape and I moved to being able to turn remove like split it in half,
Hmm.
that opened up what can I do now that I have this longer surface and what can I
Right.
do now that I have this shape? And I had the realization of like, oh, I could maybe do something with putting with it.
Hmm.
And it came about, I think I don't remember how I came across it, but there's another training aid out there, and all it is it's a piece of metal that's angled at 70 degrees.
Hmm.
And the angle of 70 degrees is the standard lie angle roughly for a putter. And
Hmm.
if you, on that particular product, if you move your putter back and forth on it,
Hmm.
it still permits a slight arc, but it helps you zero out your path on your putter. And so to make a
Gotcha.
putt, you need three things. You need the right speed, the right direction, and you need the right read. And
Right.
this, by doing that, gets you that right, starts off at the right direction that you want it to.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, if I have that 70-degree angle on part of my product, boom,
Hmm.
that's like an $80 product that you don't need, and it's incorporated into
Yeah.
this. And then I'm like, okay, well, if I have some markers on it, now you can work on backstroke length consistency. So you can now work on
Mm.
speed. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't help you read the green, but I sure so I can help you do two of the three things you need.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so, that's how, this, I mean, this is the shape, right? This is,
Yeah.
I mean, look at from where it was at before to where it's at
Yeah. It
now.
looks more like a normal, just rectangular golf aid.
Yeah, it,
Mm.
100% it is. And I mean, it's super easy to take apart.
Hmm.
And this is, you could see that putting angle. It's just so
Yeah.
simple to put in there and, have this flat edge. I'm like, man, you can just remove it now and have it be a putter
Yeah,
gator.
that's incredible. Yeah.
And, part of my thinking too is like, okay, well, you can use a tee on a green, but
It's
there's two things. One, if you're going to be inside and you're practicing, like if I'm going to practice in my garage with those like well put mats,
Yeah,
I can't.
that's what came to mind for me too, is because I have one of those that I'm gonna set up in my basement, and yeah, I couldn't stick a tee in it.
Yeah, I mean, you can use golf balls as
Hmm.
there, but every time you hit the golf ball, now you have to set it up and get it right.
Yeah.
This is not going to move if you hit it with the ball.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's this whole concept of avoidance training. So that's what
Right.
noodle is for. It's one
Exactly.
the stick, but the other it's a larger object you have to mentally work your way around.
Hmm.
But now when you're looking down, you have to hit your, either your putter through this or the ball through this.
I
You have
love
to
that.
think a little bit
I
more.
love that type of training. I never heard it called that before, but I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to touch on, we don't have a ton of time left on this episode, but I want to touch on a topic I found really interesting. Maybe give me a couple minutes. Just how did you go about taking this to a manufacturer and actually getting it created?
So the father-son team that I found that was just north of town that did the prototype, they told me that they manufacture goods for those, the three big contracts I told you about, the
Hmm.
NASA Air Force and the Army. But they also have other people that they contract with and produce
Uh,
for. And so for me, I had a decision to make. One, do I do injection molding, overseas and all that sort of stuff? And from a business perspective, it's a cheaper per unit cost
right.
after you do that, but it's like a $15,000 investment to get the mold.
Yeah.
Or do I 3D print it? And 3D printing has come such a long way. It's incredible. It's actually more durable than a lot of the plastic that you get.
Mm,
And there's also the opportunity to have different types of plastics and also different materials at the same time. And so I, especially in the beginning, wanted to do 3D printing because there were going to be things I knew that would come up that I would have to change the design on.
right.
As feedback comes in, despite, circling around Atlanta, getting a lot of really good feedback and calling a lot of people too and getting
Mm,
feedback, just having Zoom calls and showing the product and talking about it.
mm,
I got a lot of feedback, but I knew that more would come with real life testing. And I didn't want to commit to such a capital investment when
right.
I knew that would come. And so 3D printing offered me the opportunity to have an extremely durable product at a per unit cost is higher, but at a commitment level that allowed me quick iteration and
Right, which is so important because, and we talked about this, just getting that feedback from the users. You wouldn't want to commit to tens of thousands of dollars of product and then find out there's this one little flaw, and now you're stuck with it until you get through that quantity, or you just, I don't know, trash it and get a new batch out. But for the working man, that's not really an option if you don't have like a multi-million-dollar business backing you.
no, not at
Yeah.
all. I know one of the other companies out there does training aids. I mean, I think the story I've heard is the owner's a former hedge fund like
Mm,
partner, and this is what he does. I mean, he obviously has a lot more money than I do to be able to invest in
right.
this sort of stuff. And the only downside about 3D printing, if you want to call it that, is just it. You can maybe see the lines of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of only a cosmetic thing, and I truly kind of like the design of it.
Yeah.
I've run over this thing with a truck, right? I mean,
Exactly.
it
It's
is
durable.
pretty darn durable.
Yeah.
It survived at Bobby Jones,
Yeah.
especially the new design, with getting beat up by beginner golfers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, I've had to learn
That's
those
awesome.
lessons. I've had to make changes because of feedback of being, in the field, so to speak. But
Yeah.
that's how you do it, and that's
That's
part of the
awesome.
journey.
Well, awesome. We're gonna start closing it out now here. So Steve, where can people find out more about PathPal?
Certainly, the best place to find me is if you go to my website, pathpalgolf.com.
Hmm.
That's where you can find the not only the path foul. I've also got and I could tell you the stories another time, but I have a product called True Strike, which is a foam block with ballistic nylon wrapped around it. That's a more
Nice.
portable version, so to speak, of an impact bag slash
Oh,
connection
awesome.
spear. I have a lot of stuff like all in one in that. I've also have padded alignment sticks that are collapsible. The only one in the world that's a padded foldable alignment stick. So check out the website there. Also on Instagram, it's pathpal_golf. You'll
Awesome.
see everything there. And definitely check
Yeah.
out the website. I've got over 40 drills that are on there, and I'm adding more on a regular basis. And they're all recorded, not by
Yeah.
me, but by
And
top-rated
that's how I
instructors.
found you. And because I was like, oh, I before I always try to vet the people. I haven't interviewed a ton, but I check out the videos a little bit. I'm like, okay, I want to make sure this is somewhat legit. And I liked at least what you were curating. I thought it was a good set of videos you were putting together. I liked how it complemented your product and everything. So it stuck out well to me. Also to the listeners, I am going to put links to all this in the show notes as well. So you don't have to memorize it, or if you're driving, don't stop and write it down or anything. You guys can find it later. But I wanted Steve to actually share it for us too. Any last remarks, Steve, before we end here?
Definitely look forward to reaching out. Whether or not you want to talk golf, you want to talk the product or the
Of course.
entrepreneurial journey. I mean, I've mentored many MBA students and still do. I enjoy this. I enjoy the business aspect of it. I'm going to the PGA show in January, so that's extremely exciting.
Awesome.
I think I'm going to be published here within the next month on a very major online golf publication that does reviews and very excited about
Awesome.
the doors that open up from there. So
Yeah,
I appreciate the opportunity, Corey, to come on here
of
and
course.
kind of talk about PathPal and the journey.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Birdie Board Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Birdie Board Podcast. If you enjoyed it, subscribe and share it with a friend who loves golf as much as you do. And before your next round, grab the Birdie Board app, free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store, and let it handle the scoring while you enjoy the game.